The day Grandma died, the whole family was thrilled. Aunt Meihua got a downtown apartment worth 6 million wen, her husband got Grandma's 60 gold bars, and even my useless cousin got an SUV. But when the will reached my name, everyone laughed. I had cared for Grandma devotedly for 8 years, yet all she left me was one final message. The notary read it aloud. Ms. Lin Ji, Chen Xulan left you these words. July 30th, wardrobe. The room went silent for 2 seconds. Then Aunt Lin Meihua snorted with laughter. My cousin Chen Xuan stared at his phone, shoulders shaking. Uncle Zhao Jiangguo cleared his throat and straightened his tie, pretending to be serious, but he couldn't hide his grin. I looked at Grandma's portrait. She wasn't smiling there either. Just like when she was alive, her eyes rested on me without much warmth. I neither cried nor smiled. After everyone signed the papers and got up to leave, attorney Zhong Mingyuan stopped me. Ms. Lin, please stay. My aunt's family had already reached the door when Lin Meihua glanced back at me. Gee, come over for dinner sometime. Grandma may be gone, but we're still family. Her voice sounded warm, but after hearing it for 26 years, I knew what was underneath. You got nothing, so you'll still need us. I said nothing. Uncle Zhao Jiangguo never looked back. He was already making a call in the hallway. Yeah, keep an eye on the apartment transfer, and change the lease on that storefront, put it in my name. He wasn't speaking loudly, but the hallway echoed. I heard every word. Then the door shut. Attorney Zhang closed the folder and looked at me. Ms. Lin, your grandmother asked me to do something before she died. I waited for him to continue. If you didn't cry or make a scene during the reading of the will, I was to give you this. He pulled a brown paper envelope from his briefcase. It was old, its 4 corners worn soft with nothing written on it. She said you wouldn't cry. She said you never cry. Attorney Zhang's voice wavered slightly. I took the envelope. It was very light, but I didn't open it there. Thank you, Attorney Zhang. He gave me a strange look. Not the way you'd look at someone who had inherited only a sentence. It was as if he were holding something back. I walked out. A mild May breeze met me outside. My phone rang. It was my cousin Chen Siwan. Gee, what does July 30th wardrobe even mean? Haha. Did Grandma leave you a wardrobe worth 730 wen? No idea, maybe she did. Don't take it personally. You know Grandma always played favorites, though she was especially harsh on you. I'll talk to Mom and give you 30,000 wen from the shop rent at the end of the year. Grandma's storefront brought in 560,000 yuan a year, and he was offering me just 30,000. Thanks, cuz. After hanging up, I walked all the way to Grandma's apartment complex. The security guard had known me for 8 years. I came every day with food and medicine, bathed Grandma, and changed her sheets. Gee, back again? Yeah, I'm going up to tidy the place. When I opened the door, the apartment still smelled like Grandma, medicated oil and that dry, faint scent older people carry. The blood pressure pills I bought her last week were still unfinished on the table. I sat beside her bed. A framed photo sat on the nightstand. Grandma with Chen Siwan at his MBA graduation. She was smiling brightly. There were no photos of me, not in the bedroom, living room, or dining room. I had come and gone from this apartment for 8 years, yet not one photo included me. I sat beside the bed, clutching the unopened brown envelope. Her scent still lingered in the sheets. The bedding beside the pillow was still rumpled. Her final hospital trip had happened so quickly that I never got to fold it. I folded the blanket, fluffed the pillow, and set it straight. My hand touched something hard beneath the pillow, a photograph. I was 7 in it, wearing 2 pigtails and crouching in the yard, eating watermelon. On the back, in shaky ballpoint handwriting, were the words, July 30th, 2006, the first day Jie came to live here. July 30th. My hand trembled. When I was 7, Dad died in a car accident on his way home from work. Mom remarried the next year and said she couldn't afford to raise me, so Grandma took me in. Aunt Meihua's family lived nearby in a 3-bedroom apartment. On my very first day, Lin Meihua frowned and said, Mom, you can take her in, but I'm not paying for her food, clothes, or school. From that day on, I grew up in Grandma's home. And from that day on, my cousin Chen Siwan and I were never treated the same. Every new year, Grandma handed out cash envelopes in front of everyone. Xuan got 10,000 yuan, I got 200. The first year, I thought it was because I'd just arrived. The second year was the same, then the third. Eventually, I learned not to open mine in front of them. I slipped the envelope into my pocket and opened it only after returning to my tiny room. Inside were 2 100 yuan bills. I smoothed them out and tucked them into a textbook. Meanwhile, Siyuan loudly counted his money in the living room. Grandma gave me 12,000 this year. Grandma, you're the best. Grandma sat smiling on the couch without looking at me. When we grew older, the cash envelope stopped, replaced by bigger gifts. When Siyuan wanted a car, Grandma gave him 180,000 yuan. When he brought a girlfriend home, she gave the woman a gold bracelet. When he married, Grandma paid another 250,000 yuan toward the wedding. And me? The year I married, I saved a full year's salary and bought a 1,500 yuan wedding dress. It wasn't designer, just something decent from a wholesale market. I never asked anyone for money. But Lin Meihua brought it up during a family dinner, right in front of everyone. She is getting married. Shouldn't you give her something too, Mom? You gave Siyuan 250,000 yen back then. She smiled as she said it. I knew she wasn't defending me. She was making sure Grandma wouldn't actually give me anything. Grandma took another bite and said, Zuri is a girl. Once she's married, she belongs to another family. A small wedding gift is enough. That small gift was 1,000 yuan. On my wedding day, Lin Meihua arrived wearing a brand new outfit. She took my hand and said, Zuri, Your wedding dress is pretty. Where did you buy it? I made up a brand on the spot. Really? It doesn't look like it. Still, it's nice enough. It suits you. I nodded. It suited me. I cared for Grandma for 8 years and visited every single day. I checked her blood pressure, gave her medicine, and washed her. When her legs weakened and she couldn't bathe alone, I cleaned her in summer and winter alike. I changed her sheets, did her laundry, cooked, and took her to the hospital. Every hospital visit, registration, waiting in line, picking up medicine, I handled it all. Siwon never came once. Siwon is busy, Grandma always said. His job keeps him busy, so don't blame him. You live nearby anyway, just come more often. On my wedding day, Lin Meihua showed up in a brand new outfit. She took my hand and said, Zhiyi, your wedding dress is pretty. Where did you buy it? I casually made up a designer name. Really? It doesn't look like it, she smiled. Still, it's nice. It suits you. I nodded. Suited me? I had cared for Grandma for 8 years without missing a day, checking her blood pressure, giving her medicine, and washing her. When her legs weakened and she could no longer bathe alone, I cleaned her in summer and winter, changed her sheets, did her laundry, cooked, and took her to the hospital. Every hospital visit, I handled registration, lines, and prescriptions. Siwon never came once. Siwon is busy, Grandma always said. His job keeps him busy, so don't blame him. You live close by anyway, just come more often. I lived close? Getting to Grandma's took me 50 minutes each way by subway. Siwon lived in the next complex, an 8-minute walk away. But sure, he was busy. Once, Grandma spent 4 months in the hospital with pneumonia. I took extended leave, lost a third of my salary, and ate instant noodles in the hallway, 6.5 yuan a cup. My phone buzzed. Siwon had posted from a beach in Sanya, cocktail in hand, captioned, "Life is meant to be enjoyed." I turned off my phone. My noodles had gone cold. Lin Meihua visited the hospital once carrying a case of milk. She looked at me and said, Zhiyi, taking care of Grandma is your duty. Your father died, your mother ran off, and Grandma raised you. You could spend your whole life repaying that debt and still never finish. My hands were still covered in the ointment I had used on Grandma. I froze for 2 seconds, then quietly said, okay. I kept cleaning Grandma. In college, I wanted to attend graduate school. My professor said I had the ability to get in. When I mentioned it to Grandma, she kept watching TV without even turning her head. Why does a girl need so much education? Start working and earning money. You're old enough now. Stop wasting time on useless things. I never brought it up again. The next year, Siwon received his MBA acceptance letter. My aunt printed a copy, framed it, and displayed it in Grandma's living room. Grandma couldn't stop smiling. Siwon is going places, just like me when I was young. A 2-year MBA wasn't cheap. My aunt said, Mom, I'll pay. Grandma replied, my grandson is studying, I'll pay. His 2-year MBA cost 160,000 yuan. My graduate school materials were still hidden under my pillow. When I moved out, I left them there. People said I should have fought back, but for what? My place in that family had been decided when I was 7. Meihua's child was the biological grandson. I was Jianmin's daughter. Jianmin was dead, and I was merely the child they had taken in, living under Grandma's roof, eating her food, and owing a debt I could supposedly never repay. The day we sorted Grandma's belongings, I went alone. My aunt's family was busy transferring property. Lin Meihua was planning renovations for the storefront, while Siwon and his wife toured the new apartment Grandma had given them. No one cared about Grandma's wardrobe, medicine bottles, or old books. The worthless things were left to me. I folded her clothes one by one. The collar of her shirt was worn white. I had bought her new ones, but she refused to wear them, saying it was wasteful. The zipper on her navy jacket was broken. I took her to have it repaired twice. The second time, she said it cost too much and wore it pinned shut instead. I packed the folded clothes into a bag and found a photo under her pillow. It showed me at age 7, dated July 30th, 2006. I stood there gripping it for a long time. I searched again and found another slip of paper beneath the pillow, a photocopy of an Industrial and Commercial Bank of China card. The account holder was me, Lin Ji, but I had never opened an account at that bank. On the back was Grandma's shaky ballpoint handwriting, just like on the photo. Third shelf of the cabinet, metal box. I froze, then walked over to the old cabinet in Grandma's bedroom. The cabinet was older than I was, solid wood with peeling paint. During the last move, Lin Meihua had said, throw this junk away. Grandma refused. On the third shelf sat a rusted metal mooncake tin. I opened it. Inside were an old notebook and a key. A plastic tag on the key read, Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, Jiagara Rai Branch, Safe Deposit Box 730. 7:30, my hands began to shake. The notebook was ancient. The cover said, Accounts. I opened the first yellowed page. Entry 1, March 2009. Ji said she wanted to attend graduate school. I pretended not to hear her. That night, I deposited 60,000 yuan at the bank. Note, Ji's tuition. That was the year I told Grandma I wanted to attend graduate school. She had asked why a girl needed so much education. I thought she truly believed girls shouldn't study. I turned the page. Entry 2, July 2013. Siwon got married. I gave him 250,000 yuan. Ji stood nearby and said nothing. She never speaks up. That same month, I bought Ji an insurance policy. 42,000 yuan a year. Beneficiary, Lin Ji. 9 years at 42,000 each. 378,000 yuan. I turned another page. Entry 3, November 2017. My eldest child made a scene and demanded to move in, so I gave him the Chenmin apartment. That same month, I transferred a 2-bedroom apartment at an address in Pudong New area into Jianmin's name. Jianmin is gone. Ji is his sole heir. I stared at the words, Pudong New area. An apartment had been placed in my father's name, but he had been dead for 19 years. In 2017, Grandma bought a home and transferred it to a dead man. If she used my name, my aunt would find out. No one would investigate my father's. I took a deep breath and turned the page. Entry 4, April 2020. During my hospitalization, Ji cared for me alone for 4 months. Siwan never came once. I told Ji he was busy and not to call him. I wasn't protecting Siwan. I didn't want him at the hospital. While admitted, I transferred 35% of the shares in Magura's company into Jianmin's name. 35%. I had always thought Grandma's company had gone under years ago. During Grandma's 4 months in the hospital, I thought she was only recovering. I had no idea she was signing over company shares from her hospital bed. When she said Siwan was busy and shouldn't visit, it wasn't concern. She didn't want him seeing the paperwork. I opened the notebook, my palms slick with sweat. From 2009 to 2021, every dated entry had one of the cruel things she'd said to me written beside it. Why should a girl study? 60,000 yuan. Once you're married, you belong to another family. 40,000 yuan. You live nearby, so visit more. A 2-bedroom apartment in Pudong. Siwan is busy. Don't let him come. 35% of the company. Every insult came with another deposit somewhere I never knew existed. I stared at the mooncake tin. Inside the rusted box were a notebook, a key, and a secret Grandma had kept from me all my life. The next day, I went to a local ICBC branch with the key and my ID. The clerk looked me over, carefully checked my information, then had me sign a registration form. After I signed, the clerk stood and motioned for me to follow her downstairs. Basement level, safe deposit area, box 730. It was nothing like the busy lobby upstairs. It was so quiet I could hear my own heartbeat. The clerk opened the outer lock, revealing a keypad inside. She said the code was 6 digits. I entered 20060730, July 30th, 2006, the day Ji first came into this family. A beep sounded, and the green light came on. The box opened. Inside were property deeds, a stack of fixed-term deposit certificates, 3 investment contracts, proof of company shares, and an envelope. The envelope was old, its cream paper yellowed and curled at the edges. It wasn't the one Lawyer Joe had given me. This one had 2 characters written on it, Ji. I ignored the documents and opened it first. There was only 1 sheet of paper. Grandma's handwriting was neater than in the notebook, every stroke careful, as if she'd rewritten it again and again before choosing the best copy. Ji, if you're reading this, it means Grandma is gone, and it means you found this place. The person I wronged most in this life was you. You were only 7 when your father died. Then your mother left too. You had no one, so Grandma took you in. But I saw your aunt's family for what they were. Your aunt was calculating, and your uncle even more so. If they knew how much you meant to me, you wouldn't receive a single cent. They would have found a way to push you out. So I had to pretend I didn't care about you. I scolded you in front of them so they'd believe you meant nothing to me and stop seeing you as a threat. Ji, every time Grandma insulted you, my heart hurt. And every time it hurt, I put something else into this box. From now on, you'll never have to live by anyone else's approval. I've done everything I could. The rest of the road is yours. Walk it well. Grandma, November 2021. There were 2 old water stains on the letter. They weren't mine. They'd dried long ago. Grandma had always been proud and guarded, but in this letter she'd hidden all the tenderness and guilt she'd never shown me. I crouched in front of the box, my chest aching and swollen, as if something had filled the emptiness inside me while somehow making it feel even more hollow. Even breathing hurt. The basement was silent except for the hum of the vents. I pressed the letter to my chest and didn't cry. No, that wasn't true. I was crying. I didn't know when it started. No sobbing, no sound, just tears falling beyond my control. 1 tear after another struck the envelope. The day Ji joined this family. Every time Grandma scolded you, my heart hurt. For 15 years, she'd played the part of a biased old woman. Everyone thought she favored my aunt. My aunt's family thought Grandma didn't care about me, and so did I, for 15 whole years. I grew up hurt, insecure, and convinced I was extra baggage in that house, convinced Grandma had never loved me. But she had cared, more than anyone. She just couldn't let them know. The moment she showed it, my aunt's family would have moved against me, forced me out, and made sure I was left with nothing. So she insulted me in front of everyone, using the harshest voice to say the most painful things. Then she'd shut herself in her room, go to the bank, deposit money, and label it Ji's tuition, Ji's insurance, Ji's home. I stayed crouched until my legs went numb and time blurred, until the clerk checked on me twice and gently asked, "Miss, are you okay?" "I'm fine," I said. I folded the letter, returned it to the envelope, and examined the documents, fixed deposits, checking accounts, investments, one by one, line by line, terrified of missing any detail or wasting Grandma's final gift. I added the deposits 3 times, 43.27 million yuan. Then there was the Pudong apartment and 35% of the company. What my aunt had fought for, a rundown house, a storefront, and some savings, was worth only about 3.5 million yuan. 3.5 million versus more than 43 million. Grandma let them see the 3.5 million so they'd think they'd won big, while hiding over 43 million in safe deposit box 730. I stood, legs numb and body stiff, gripping the edge of the box until I steadied myself. Then I carefully returned every document, put everything in order, locked the box, and left the bank. It was still May outside, and the sunlight was beautiful. I called Lawyer Joe. Lawyer Joe, I opened the safe deposit box. He went silent for 2 seconds, as if he'd expected this all along. Ms. Lin, your grandmother left instructions. No matter what was inside, I wasn't to tell anyone. I had to wait until you found it yourself. I understand. What are you planning to do next? I looked up at the sky. There's no rush. For the next 3 days, I contacted no one. I went to the market regulation office and looked up Grandma's company, XX Trading Co. Nas Lenkoti, registered capital of 20 million yuan. Grandma originally owned 65%. In 2020, she transferred 35% to Zhao Jianmin, my father. Since he had passed away, I was the sole legal heir to those shares. What about the remaining 30%? In 2021, Grandma sold it to a business partner for 14 million yuan. That 14 million was sitting in the safe deposit box. So a year and a half before she died, Grandma had already handled everything. 35% went to me and 30% became cash. My aunt got none of it. My aunt had no idea the company was still valuable because Grandma had told the whole family, that business is finished. It hasn't made money in years. Stop thinking about it. One lie had protected every bit of love she'd saved from me. Then I checked one more thing. The storefront my aunt received carried an old debt guarantee. Grandma had once used it as collateral for someone else's 1 million yuan debt. The guarantee still hadn't been released. In other words, Aunt didn't inherit a clean storefront. She inherited one carrying a RMB 1 million guarantee liability. I checked the house too. Its land use status was state allocated, not fully granted. If she wanted to sell it on the open market, she'd have to pay the land transfer fee first. Aunt didn't know that yet. She would the moment she tried to sell it. I sat in front of the computer, staring at the information on the screen, and the tears started falling again. Grandma, you weren't playing favorites. You were smarter than all of them. You gave them what they could see because you knew they only cared about what was right in front of them. You gave me what they couldn't see because you knew I would never fight them for it. You knew I wouldn't fight, so you fought for me and paved every road ahead. I had never noticed the last page of the notebook. When I finally reached it, I found one tiny line. Tree never fights. She never has. If she won't fight, I'll fight for her. I slipped the notebook into my bag, zipped it shut, and stood up. The sunlight outside was still beautiful. I would walk the road ahead well. I wouldn't waste her intentions, or the love she had hidden for 15 years. Things stayed quiet for a week, but not at Aunt's house. The property transfer was done, the storefront lease had been renamed, and the savings had been moved. Lin Meihua posted a photo in the family group chat. The renovated storefront now had a new sign, Zhao's department store. If Mom can see us from above, she must want this store to thrive. Our whole family will depend on it from now on. We won't let her down.
Xuan chimed in. Grandma wanted nothing more than to see the family doing well. We'll run the store properly and make her proud.
No one mentioned me, as if Grandma's granddaughter had never existed. Then someone asked in the group chat, what did Ji inherit? Lin Meihua replied, Mom left Ji one sentence. We're not really sure what it means. She was old, so maybe she was a little, She added a smiling emoji. Somehow that smile felt painfully smug. I left the group chat. 3 days later, Aunt called me. Ji, you know what happened. Your grandma's wishes were written clearly in the will and you signed it too. I understand if you feel hurt. You looked after her for years and I haven't forgotten. At year end, I'll give you RMB $30,000 from the store rent. 30,000? Out of RMB 560,000 in rent? One more thing. You finished sorting through your grandma's house, right? Bring me the keys. I'm renovating it and renting it out. I said, okay. She, don't overthink it. You know your grandma, she played favorites her whole life. But don't worry, I won't treat you unfairly. If you ever need anything, come to me. I gave a quiet answer and said nothing else. All right, bring the keys over in the next couple of days. After hanging up, I called Attorney Zhou. Attorney Zhou, I need your help with a few things. First, I need to confirm legal ownership of every asset in the safe. Cash, property, and shares. I want to know whether they legally belong to me 100%. Of course, I'll prepare a complete legal opinion for you. Second, the storefront Aunt inherited carries a RMB 1 million guarantee. Does she know? Probably not. Your grandmother's will never mentioned it. Third, if Aunt produces a forged will to claim my assets, what should I prepare? The other end went silent for 2 seconds. Ms. Lin, did you already expect your aunt to make a move? My grandmother did. She wrote in her letter, your aunt is clever and your uncle is even more calculating. Understood. Don't worry, I'll have everything ready in advance. I hung up and opened a photo of Grandma on my phone. Her face was expressionless, but her eyes were steady, as though she had seen all of this coming. It was as if she were telling me not to be afraid, that she would always be with me. Grandma, just watch. I won't let them steal anything you left me or let your hard work go to waste. I'll protect it all, live well, and honor the love and concern you hid for 15 years. Things moved faster than I expected. 3 weeks later, Aunt hired a lawyer and sent me a legal demand letter. It demanded that I return property belonging to Ms. Chen Xulin, claiming Lin Meihua had discovered several valuables missing while cleaning Grandma's room. Valuables? The most expensive thing in Grandma's room was probably the old cabinet. What Lin Meihua noticed missing was the rusty mooncake tin. Ironically, no one would have paid attention to that tin if she hadn't made such a scene. Aunt demanded mediation. The mediation was held at a law firm. Aunt brought her lawyer Zhao Jiangguo and Siwan. I brought attorney Zhou. The mediator came from an independent law firm. Once everyone sat down, Aunt spoke first. Mediator, here's the situation. After my mother died, her will was notarized and carried out. But while sorting through her belongings, Lin Ji took several of my mother's personal items. We want them returned. The mediator looked at me. Ms. Lin. Before I could speak, Aunt's lawyer pulled out a document. In addition, while recently sorting through her mother's belongings, my client, Ms. Lin Meihua, discovered a codicil. It was left by Ms. Chen Xiulan before her death and is legally valid. A codicil? I looked at Attorney Zhou. His brow tightened slightly. Aunt's lawyer handed the codicil to the mediator. It states that all unlisted assets belonging to Ms. Chen Xiulan, including but not limited to bank deposits and company shares, shall pass to her eldest daughter, Lin Meihua. It was dated 2 months before her death. I studied the page. The handwriting looked like Grandma's, but the pressure was wrong. Her hands shook badly during her final 2 years, so her strokes wandered. The writing here was far too steady. Someone had copied her hand. The mediator reviewed it, then turned to me. Ms. Lin, what is your position on this codicil? I'd like to see it first. The mediator handed me the document. I studied it for 30 seconds, then looked up at Aunt. Aunt leaned back with her legs crossed, wearing a smug little smile. She thought she had won. Zhao Jiangguo could barely hide his grin, while Siwan kept his head down, playing on his phone. If neither side disputes the codicil's authenticity, we can proceed. I dispute it. This codicil is forged. Aunt's expression shifted, but she recovered quickly. Gee, don't make wild accusations. Your grandmother wrote this herself. Herself? I laid the page on the table. I cared for Grandma for 8 years. During her final 2, she had Parkinson's and couldn't even hold chopsticks steadily. You expect me to believe she wrote this perfectly steady script? Aunt opened her mouth but said nothing. Zhao Jiangguo cut in. Your grandma could still write on her good days. Stop talking nonsense. Then let's have the handwriting examined. I have samples Grandma wrote herself in 2021. We can compare them. Are you willing? The room went silent for 3 seconds. My aunt glanced at her lawyer. He whispered something and her expression darkened. Xiuan finally put down his phone. Ji, seriously? Grandma's things belong to our family. You're just a... I'm just what? I asked. He couldn't finish the sentence. A fatherless girl like you ate our food and lived under our roof. Taking care of Grandma was the least you could do. Now she's gone, and you still want to fight us for the inheritance? How ungrateful can you be? The mediator frowned. My aunt didn't stop Zhao Jiangguo. She saw nothing wrong with his words. The recorder captured every second of it. I didn't lose my temper, not because I wasn't angry, but because Grandma had written in her letter, your aunt's family will say terrible things. Don't be afraid. Let them talk. The more they say, the more they'll prove Grandma judged them correctly. I took a deep breath, pushed down my emotions, and looked calmly at Lin Meihua. Aunt, you said I ate your food and lived off your family? Zhao Jiangguo raised an eyebrow, his voice dripping with contempt. That's exactly what happened. If we hadn't taken you in, you'd have starved on the streets, and now you dare fight us for the inheritance? What an ungrateful brat. Fine, then I'd like you to see something. I pulled a document envelope from my bag. Attorney Zhou opened it and laid the papers on the table one by one. First, 5 fixed-term bank deposits. 12 million, 8 million, 6 million, 5 million, and 3 million yuan. Account holder, Lin Ji. Opened between 2010 and 2020. Grandma placed them in my name, totaling 34 million yuan. The smile vanished from my uncle's face. Second, an insurance policy. Annual premium, 42,000 yuan for 10 years. Current cash value plus dividends, about 520,000 yuan. Beneficiary, Lin Ji. Grandma bought it for me the year my cousin got married. Lin Meihua's expression changed. Third, a property deed for a 2-bedroom apartment in Pudong. Owner, Zhao Jianmin. Grandma bought it in 2017 and put it in my father's name. My father has passed away, and I'm his sole legal heir. Current market value, 7.5 million yuan. Xuan's phone fell onto the table. He didn't pick it up. Fourth, an equity transfer agreement for 35% of a trading company. Transferor, Chen Xiulin. Transferee, Zhao Jianmin. Grandma completed the transfer while hospitalized in 2020. As for what that 35% is worth at the company's latest valuation, I looked at Attorney Zhou. According to last year's audit, that 35% stake represents about 15 million yuan in net assets. The room fell silent. My aunt braced herself against the table, her knuckles white. Zhao Jiangguo's mouth hung open, Siwan turned pale, and the mediator looked from one side to the other. I took out the final item. It wasn't another document. It was Grandma's notebook, written in her own hand. She recorded every date, amount, and reason. I opened to one page. July 2013. Siwan got married. I contributed 250,000 yuan. That same month, I bought Ji an insurance policy with an annual premium of 42,000 yuan. On another page, November 2017, I gave the Tianmen property to my eldest child. That same month, I transferred the Pudong apartment to Jianmen. Then another page, April 2020. While I was hospitalized, Ji cared for me alone for 4 months. That same month, I transferred 35% of the company to Jianmen. I closed the notebook and looked firmly at my aunt. Aunt, what you received, the house, storefront, and savings, comes to around 3.5 million yuan. She said nothing. I continued. But the savings in the safe, the apartment, insurance, and company shares total 43 million yuan. The 3.5 million was what Grandma allowed you to see. The 43 million was what she made sure you never saw. Lin Meihua forced the words out through a tight throat. Impossible. How could your grandmother possibly have that much money? She couldn't accept that the assets she'd fought tooth and nail for were scraps Grandma had deliberately left them, while I held wealth beyond anything they had ever imagined. Attorney Joe spoke at exactly the right moment, calm and firm. Ms. Chen Xulan's trading company was highly profitable in its early years. Together with decades of investment returns, every asset is backed by complete bank records and notarized documents. They are genuine and valid. My aunt slammed the table and shot to her feet, eyes red. I don't believe it. This has to be fake. My mother's company failed years ago. It was finished. Grandma told you the company was failing, and you believed her. She told you she didn't care about me, and you believed that too. Aunt, you lived with Grandma for 50 years and believed every word she said. I lived with her for 21 years. I didn't believe it, but I never asked. Those things you fought over. Did you know the storefront still carries an unreleased 1 million yuan guarantee? Did you know the apartment sits on allocated land, so selling it requires hundreds of thousands in land transfer fees? My aunt's face went from white to gray. Impossible. This is impossible. Grandma left those things to you not because she favored you, but because she knew those were all you could see. I stood up. There was one more thing. That supplemental will you just produced? I looked at Attorney Joe. He handed the mediator an application for handwriting authentication. And legally, what does forging a will amount to? It may constitute forging official documents or fraud. Depending on the circumstances, criminal liability may follow. My aunt sprang to her feet, face deathly pale and body trembling. That's not... She looked desperately at Zhao Jiangguo. He lowered his head. Then she turned to Siwan, but he wouldn't look at her. The mediator's voice remained calm. Ms. Lin Meihua, today's mediation was recorded in full, including everything you just said. I suggest you retain counsel for what comes next. My aunt stood frozen. At 53, her hands were shaking. Her mouth opened, but not a single word came out. There's one final thing. I turned Grandma's notebook to the last page and read the line written there. She never fights for anything. She never has. If she won't fight for herself, I'll fight for her. I looked at my aunt, my voice perfectly calm. What you received was what Grandma wanted you to see. What I received was what she made sure you never saw. I cared for her for 8 years and she never once praised me, but every time she scolded me, she put another deposit into that safe. I put the documents away and slipped them back into my bag. Auntie, you lived with Grandma for 50 years. She wrote one line in her letter. I know my eldest daughter inside out. I picked up my bag and gave them one last calm look. You thought you'd won, but Grandma knew from day one that you could never outsmart her. I turned and walked out. Behind me, there was no yelling, no arguing, no excuses, only dead silence. I knew it was the silence of regret. Attorney Joe handled everything after that. I barely got involved, only hearing the occasional update. I felt nothing, as if Grandma had seen it all coming. The handwriting analysis on the added will came back. It wasn't Grandma's. The report showed that the writer's handwriting closely matched Lin Meihua's. Zhao Jiangguo claimed Lin Meihua did it behind his back and blamed everything on her. Lin Meihua said Zhao made her write it. They argued at the law office for an hour, unleashing years of resentment before storming off separately. The mediator's recording was submitted too, including Zhao Jiangguo saying, "You're a fatherless girl who eats our food and lives off us," while my aunt stayed silent and agreed by default. Attorney Joe formally submitted a legal notice for me. First, every asset in the safe legally belonged to Lin Ziyi, with all notarized documents attached. Second, Lin Meihua and Zhao Jiangguo were suspected of forging a will, and I reserved the right to pursue criminal charges. Third, Lin Meihua claimed she had paid Grandma's living expenses. In reality, Grandma received over 8,000 yuan a month in pension, insurance covered her medical bills, and I paid all her hospital caregiving costs. Attorney Joe pulled Grandma's pension records. Over 15 years, about 1.6 million yuan had gone straight into my aunt's account. She controlled Grandma's bank card and claimed she was safeguarding the money, but she had taken it for herself, even Grandma's retirement fund. Lin Meihua claimed she had spent hundreds of thousands caring for Grandma, but she had used Grandma's own money and still pocketed a huge profit. Once the bank records came out, every relative who had praised Meihua for her sacrifices went silent. Some even messaged me privately to apologize. I didn't reply or hold a grudge. Sometimes seeing people clearly is enough. Xiwan's secret blew up too. Grandma's notebook clearly said, August 2014, Xiwan's MBA tuition, 160,000 yuan, paid from the pension. Xiwan had told his wife he earned the tuition himself and got into the MBA program on merit. After she saw the family chat posts proving Grandma paid, they reportedly separated within a week. A month later, trouble hit my aunt's storefront. The borrower she had guaranteed for on a 1 million yuan loan disappeared, and the bank came after her every day. Overnight, she became the debtor. Her hair turned gray, her face looked drained, and all her old arrogance vanished. She tried to sell the storefront, but no one wanted a property tied to a loan guarantee. Then she tried selling the house, but the land transfer fee alone was over 300,000 yuan, money she didn't have. Lin Meihua had a full meltdown, smashing things around the house and screaming, "This is all your fault. You got greedy and insisted on fighting for more. And what did you win? A mountain of problems." My uncle sat silently in the living room. Xiwan came home too, no longer smug and confident, only bitter and furious. "Mom, you ruined my life. My wife is gone because of you." The three of them screamed, cursed, and cried so loudly that the whole apartment complex heard. A neighbor called the police. Attorney Joe told me all this. He knew the property manager there. I didn't go watch. I didn't need to. Grandma had known this would happen. She understood my aunt's family perfectly. Greedy, selfish, and short-sighted, obsessed with immediate gain and blind to the consequences. What Grandma left them wasn't favoritism. It was a mirror, one that forced them to see their greed, their stupidity, and the ending they had created for themselves. On Qingming Festival, I went to the cemetery in simple, muted clothes, carrying a bouquet of white lilies. Grandma's headstone was simple black marble, engraved only with "Here lies Chen Shulan." There was no ornate inscription. She had asked us to write nothing else. She lived quietly, hated attention, and wanted peace even after death. I laid down the flowers. Grandma never cared for flowers, but later I found a tiny line squeezed above the date on the first page of her notebook. Ji likes lilies. I crouched before the headstone, and the tears finally came. They struck the stone and spread into small dark stains. Grandma, July 12th, I'll never forget it. A breeze swept through the cemetery, mild just like the day of her funeral. I stood, brushed the dirt from my knees, and looked back. A young pine tree beside her grave had just sprouted fresh buds, its tender green branches swaying softly, full of life and hope. I didn't cry again. Grandma hated seeing me cry. She liked that I never fought over things. She always said, "She won't fight for herself, so I'll fight for her." Okay, Grandma. From today on, you don't have to fight for me. I'll do it myself. I'll carry Grandma's love with me, live well, work hard, and become who I want to be, and who she hoped I'd become. Dignified, steady, and strong.